Advertising is almost like today, you could change the future of your business.
This is the critical part of your business growth engine. And if you're not prepared to put the time and effort into acquire a customer, how are you ever going to build a scalable business?
No, precisely. If you can work out how to actually run ads properly, all of a sudden your business model looks completely different.
Yeah.
That's why I love it so much. And it just so happens, if you want to be good at advertising, you've got to be damn good at video.
If you want to scale up, you've got to have a level of predictability in terms of lead gen and customer flow.
Exactly.
You can't get that with organic, and you can't get that with partnerships.
No.
So at some point, you're going to have to do paid traffic.
It's predictable, it's reliable. You just need to know how to do it, essentially. Yeah. That's the most important thing.
Let's jump into YouTube for a minute.
Yeah.
First of all, why should people be paying attention to YouTube?
I don't think you can get better quality from anywhere else than from YouTube.
Really?
Google have all that data around you.
So let's talk about your framework then, the 5 A's framework, right?
Yeah.
So let's just walk through, what is the 5 A framework?
Cool. So the 5 A's are like the 5 key elements to make advertising work, essentially.
Okay.
So the 5 A's, you've got, and I think of it like a star, and the top star is like a...
If I'm going to use YouTube for ads, do I need to have a YouTube channel, and do I need to put content up on it first?
You don't need it. These days, you don't even need to have a channel at all. You can actually just upload your media into...
How much do you need to get started, first of all? Let's just answer that question.
You can run different types of campaigns. So you could start with $5 a day. The way to do that is to use something called...
This is, I think, one of the things that people don't realize. If you invest in a video, it will significantly reduce the sales cycle.
There's a structure to how you communicate it.
Yeah, someone's listening to this or they're watching this on YouTube. They've got a limited budget. What does a 90-day sort of smart YouTube strategy look like? So, welcome along to this edition of the Grow That Business podcast. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. If you are listening to it, you're going to probably want to jump over and watch it on YouTube as well. I have a feeling, because today we are going to have a masterclass from my go-to expert. He's spoken at Scale Up Summit and is absolutely a legend when it comes to everything to do with YouTube and to why you as a business owner should be paying attention to this channel. If you're not right now, it's probably one of the biggest marketing opportunities out there for 2025. So it is my pleasure to welcome Tom Breeze to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Great. You are the founder and the CEO of Viewability, which is cool, a specialist video advertising agency focused on YouTube and Meta. You've done this for over 13 years, which is great. That's why I trust you, because you've been in the game long enough. You've managed multi-million-pound ads budgets for brands like HelloFresh, Mindvalley, ClickFunnels, vShred, and Performance Golf. You've managed ads with spends of up to £100,000 a day on YouTube, which is mind-blowing, really. As well as, working with major training players, like you've done stuff with Google, digital marketer, and people of that, which they may know as well, right? You're based in the UK, which is fantastic. And obviously, you've just written the definitive guide to YouTube ads. Which I have to say is one of the heaviest books anyone's ever handed to me when they came into the studio.
How to around with that one?
I can tell. And I'm sure we can get into some of the pieces in here, because it's a meaty old book, which is great. And the promise on the book is how to access 1 billion people in 10 minutes, which is kind of quite a big claim. And obviously you and Perry Marshall, for those of you who know, Perry Marshall is one of the world's best marketers, without question, right? So love to talk about that. So welcome along. Great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So how did your fascination start with marketing, first of all? Like, when did you first get interested in marketing?
Good question. So I suppose when I ran my first business, and it was just a necessity, really. Right. It was more like... So I came out of university with having studied psychology.
Okay.
I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point, but I come from a family which is quite entrepreneurial. So my dad started his own business. My brother started his own business. He's 3 years older than me. I was like, okay, how are you doing this thing, by the way, starting a new business and that type of thing? So it was not alien to me, and I'd done all the things as I was younger, like selling things in a car boot sale and trying to make profit. And if I could buy that and sell it for a different price over here, so I did all that wheeler dealing type stuff as a kid.
Right.
But coming out of university, I went to do a master's because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and then I did a master's in psychology, and I met my tutor at that point, and she was just phenomenal, and she trained me in like things like NLP and timeline therapy, hypnotherapy. All these different things, because I was like, I really want to get into sport at the time. I was like, I really want to work with top athletes, and really, I'm a big Chelsea fan, so I was like, I just want to work with the Chelsea FC.
Hence the blue jacket today, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You're on, bro. Not dark enough, not quite dark enough, but
And they were like, great, well, all you need to do is finish your masters and then you have another 8 years of working in more kind of education. I was like, okay, I'm done with education by this point.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I ended up working with some golfers and
what, around mindset stuff or performance stuff or what?
So I'm terrible at golf, but I'm really good at understanding like what sort of like mental frame they'll be in. And if they're going to go down and try and strike the ball and get the best score they can as they go around the course, it's like, well, how are you mentally preparing yourself for that? Because they know how to hit the ball. It's not like that's very, very fine margins at that point. But like if they just come off the back of one hole and they've like 3-putted or something, they're going to the next like hole like with really negative thoughts going through their mind, and it ruins the whole round. You've seen it, people blow up all the time. Yeah. So that's kind of like I was like, okay, this is an area that I can get good at. But it was quite a while ago now, so I think that they didn't look at it as like a performance psychologist. They were looking at, wait, I've got to shrink. I don't need to shrink. So I was up against that battle constantly. And I was living in London, and I was like, well, how else do I use these skills I've acquired? And I said, do you know what? One of the things I know I helped with one person who I was trained when I did my training for NLP.
Right.
They did. They had like loads of presentations to give. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I probably should be able to learn some of these techniques and help you. So I ended up working with them, and they actually had a really big result. They were like, I'm not actually nervous about public speaking anymore. Okay. So I was like, well, maybe I can do a bit more of that. And I started up like a mini little practice in London. Like I hired a room every now and again. And I was like, cool, I'm going to be the people that helps people overcome their fears of public speaking. And I tried pretty much everything to get clients, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I bought some courses and went to some different like mastermind things back in the day. Didn't really get very far and wasn't really getting much good advice. I tried Yellow Pages. That was a disaster, a nightmare. Pretty much the whole bank loan that started the company went on that and didn't get anything. I was going to say, I can't imagine lots of people going to Yellow Pages going, I need to learn how to overcome public speaking fears. I can't imagine that's where do I find that in this category exactly? Do I look for psychology? Yeah. But I was sold really well by Yellow Pages to be like, this is where you should be. You're in your business. Yeah. And so I bought a load of stuff in that, and then I realized that like, okay, cool, I got some good PR, and that it was good because I was in some good publications and that type of thing. So it gave me credibility, but still didn't bring me clients. And then I had a leaflet come through the front door, because when you start up a new company, normally lots of people find out, and Google has sent me something to say, hey, look, here's a £30 voucher that you can use on Google AdWords. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is Google AdWords? So I'd heard of Google, because this is like when everyone was really using Yahoo back in the day. It kind of moved on from Alta Vista at that point, but we weren't too far on. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'll check out this Google thing. And I it kind of like typed in Google AdWords, found out what it was, and I was like, okay, cool. I realized I can run these like little text ads that come up at the top of the search results. I was like, that sounds like an obvious thing to do. So if someone types in fear of public speaking, I can say, well, in the London area, I can just pop up at the top. Yeah. And I spent £30 on the first day. I think I probably used the whole voucher on the first day. And I had the phone like rang twice, and I closed 2 clients for £250 each. So they'll come in for like a half-day session. That'll cost £250. And I booked 2 of them in, and I was like, wait a second, I've just spent £30. I just made 500 quid. And I was like, that's better than what I've been doing previously, because I had nothing for nothing before. So the next day I was like, right, cool, I'll see if I can keep these ads running, and just use the money I was making and just kept on putting it into the ads. I just basically filled up my whole diary with people that wanted to work with me. And then I had a problem with like, well, hang on a second, now I need to do that, and I can't be the secretary and do all the, so it was a one-man band trying to figure it all out. But I just cracked like this marketing advertising thing, and it wasn't out of like, I'd done psychology, so I'd like talked a little bit about advertising or learned a little bit about advertising in the past. Right. But this time around, I was like, okay, I'm actually doing it, and I'm just literally just typing a little text ad and just showing people and targeting people in the right way. And it was just phenomenal. So that was my like dipping my toe in. I had like instant success with the digital advertising. I was like, this is easy. And so I built that first business. And I used to just do one-to-one work with people constantly. Wow. And I filled out a diary and got burnt out quite quickly, because I was just absolutely knackered of working with people constantly with the same thing over and over again. And I didn't have like a continuity program at all, because it was like, I deal with the fear, people leave, and I didn't have anything left. And I was like, but you were done. You next and did one and done. Exactly. Yeah. So one and done. Good at it, but that's a problem in that business model, because if you're good at it, then people don't come back. True. But the cost of acquiring customers is so like small, that was like, it didn't really bother me too much at that time. Obviously, over time, the cost of advertising goes up and you get more competition and things. But that was my first business. So that's how I got into it. And that's the advertising side of it was like the bit that got me really going, really.
So I think we just need to explore a couple of things before we move on from this one for a second. Firstly, I think it's fascinating that Google sent you a direct mail piece about online advertising, which I always thought was really like fascinating to me. Secondly, there's a great lesson in that in terms of they gave you free money.
Yep.
Who's not going to try that, right?
Precisely, yeah.
Best conversion tool ever. But also just... let's think about it from what you learned then about human psychology in that sort of experience. Like, because I think entrepreneurs are a bit like golfers, right? I think that they're high pressure situations. You're quite often on your own and quite isolated sometimes when you're making decisions. You're not necessarily able to share it with everyone else.
Yep.
And if you make a bad decision, you then have to go and make another decision the next day, or you have to make another decision that afternoon. And if the first one didn't work out, it's a bit like playing golf, which is why I think a lot of entrepreneurs enjoy playing golf, because there's a similarity in that, except if you play with a full ball, you at least get to play it with other people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like when you were coaching people around that or the psychology of that, give us 2 or 3 of your kind of like mindset tips for moving on if something had gone wrong.
So I would be very focused on like building a routine for a golfer. So anytime we would say, right, you've just got to approach this like the same scenario with the same mindset every time. So it's not like saying you need to get into a good mindset like because you just come out of a bad mindset. It's almost like no, just try and remove the emotion completely from the game and just be a bit more robotic.
Right.
So there's moments where you can be like, right, if you're at the end of the round, you can celebrate, or you can be annoyed with yourself, but you've got to, whilst you're actually playing, you've got to kind of somewhat remove the emotion away from the actual playing the game sometimes.
Right.
So I think it's quite incredible when you see like Ryder Cup, for example, and the golfers are going mad after each hole, and that's like the pressure's so on, but like obviously these are the real pros who have been there, done it, and had that experience constantly. But I think that the techniques that I would work with people would be like, first of all, it would be a case of like you'd have like an anchor. So we'd normally put like little dots, dots on the top of a golf club,
right?
Or because right at the bottom. So obviously, when you put your golf club away, the head of the golf club is there.
Yes.
So you take it out, and you can put a dot right at the bottom of the golf club, but sometimes it'll fall off or whatever it might be.
Right.
But it would just be like a little paper dot type thing.
Okay.
Or it'll be on the end of the golf club on the handle.
On the shaft, whatever,
Exactly, yeah. And so what it was is just like, it's just a little reminder to say, right, as soon as you see it, that's the time to click in again.
Right.
You can't constantly be focused. You've got to kind of like let your mind wander for a little bit. Otherwise you get fatigue after like 3 hours of going round.
Yeah.
So then it'll give you that moment to be like, okay, cool, here we go. I've got to go through my routine again. So that was like the little anchor to start it off with.
Okay, I like that.
And then you'd have, we'd do a bit of a visualization. So beforehand, you would say, right, here's the golf shot I really want to play. And you'd like, think of it like a tracer. So you'd say, right, it's going to go from here round to like, and the shape of the shot, and then like where it's going to land, how it's going to roll. Not just like, oh, I'm just going to imagine that's kind of roughly what I want to do. It's like actually see it like in perfection. Right. So you say exactly the shot you want to play. Because the clearer it can be, even if you're going to be off from that, it's better to say, this is exactly what I want. And if I'm a little bit off that, then it's not going to be the end of the world. Where if it's roughly that, and then you get off that like tangent as well, then it's like, okay, you could be actually miles away from where you started.
Got it.
And so you'd really like think about the shot and visualize it. And then the last thing you would do is you'd have like what we call a circle of excellence. We'd use quite a bit. So you imagine, and this is actually a really powerful one for golfers in particular. So you'd imagine like a little circle around your ball. So it can like once you stand inside that circle and you're with your ball, at that point you've learned how to essentially just shut out everything. But as soon as you cross that threshold of that circle, it's like your mindset is, all right, I really switch on at this point, and you remind yourself of what you want to see, what you want to feel, and almost like down to the point of what do you normally hear, like what would really motivate you. So is it someone's voice, is it a coach, is it the crowd, is it something else? So you'd almost like play through a little mini movie, but like have that all like anchored into that circle.
That's cool.
So as soon as you step into it, you're like, right, circle moment, I'm decisive, I'm whatever you want, you kind of like pre-prep it beforehand. And then so then when you step inside that circle, you're mentally prepared, and then you've got to remember to step outside the circle, but after giving yourself feedback Because otherwise most people go like, if it's a bad shot, for example, because it's not going to be perfect every time, they're like, oh, screw this circle, this is a load of rubbish. So you've got to kind of like, you've got to remember that the circle is only a routine
Right.
to get you to think properly.
Got it.
And it's not going to be responsible for the whole game. It's just like saying, go through the routine every single time. You're going to give yourself the best chance to get you mentally prepared.
Yeah.
And then you've got to remember to say, give yourself feedback so that you leave in the circle, and then you can walk back out of it. And you just got like a proper good mental like routine every single time.
Love that.
And that just allows you to really just up your game to a whole new level, because you're no longer just carrying the emotion from the previous hole.
Yeah.
You say, no, we start again. We just, every time it's like a whole routine you go
Love
through.
that.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, you could technically apply that, couldn't you, to, well, there's two ways I suppose I've used something similar when I've trained salespeople over the years, where they step out of the car and there's this round circle on the floor as a spotlight. And suddenly when you step into that, you're on stage. It's like, now you're on stage, like you kick into that gear, like you're super focused. You sit in the car and do the visualization exercise before you go in. So visualize the meeting, visualize the client being happy, visualize them signing a check, whatever, shaking hands. So you visualize that before. But the minute you step out of the car, you step into that circle of light and it's like, right, game on, I'm now dialed in.
Yep.
And that's always worked brilliantly and increased conversion rates without question, just doing that.
Yeah, amazing.
And it sounds a bit woo-woo, but it actually really does work in terms of psychology now. Like we know the power of visualization, but also that white light, when you stand in it, you just feel invincible and you lock in all those feelings, right? Which is really, and I think we are only just starting to understand the high performance habits that sports people have and how to transfer them to entrepreneurs. Because I've said for ages on the show that, running a business is a full contact, all on sport. It is all the time. And you're going to get knocked down, beat up, stuff's going to go wrong. So what can we learn from professional athletes about how they recover, how they hydrate, how they sleep, how they like all of that, so that actually you can make better decisions in the moments when it's critical thinking is required.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so, which is why I think it's interesting. So you did what? NLP, timeline therapy,
and hypnotherapy.
Really?
Yeah.
Because timeline therapy is about clearing past stuff, right?
Not always, but yeah,
Okay.
it's used a lot for that. But it's like your whole line of your whole life. So you can kind of choose, well, normally you're clearing up the past and saying like, if there's a limiting belief, or there's a point of trauma, or there's just like a negative thing that you've been holding on for too long, you can kind of unpick that. And it's a beautiful technique. And then, but the beauty is that whatever you're kind of like analyzing on the past, you normally want to take a learning from it to say, look, it happened. It's not going to change. That thing happened in your life when you were 7 or when you were 15 or whatever age.
Yes.
But you can learn something from that.
Right.
And then that's kind of the way to reframe it in your head and relearn from it, is to say, what could you learn from it now that you probably didn't learn back in the day?
Oh, that's nice.
And so then you can look back at it, because you can say, like, sometimes you blame yourself for being like making a bad decision or something. Like, hang on a second, you were 11 when you made that decision. Do you really keep on to blame? Like now you're in your like 40s. Do you really want to still blame that 11?
You did not know what the 11. You did not understand the stuff you were dealing with, right? Yeah. That's a really good
So you
point.
can kind of go back over it and say, okay, it still happened. It's not like the visuals are disappearing, but it's just more like, well, what do I learn from it this time round? Like now I can revisit this properly and relive it. Like
That's really
code it differently.
Yeah.
But then that learning, you don't want to just be like, cool, that's cleared it up. You want to say, no, take that learning now, as long as it's a really good, healthy learning, and apply it to the rest of the line and way into the future. So when I used to do the public speaking fears, that was a great one, because most of the time people had like a really bad meeting or a presentation or an interview, or something went drastically wrong. Or they just don't know why they had that anxiety, but it's just a murky area on their timeline. And you said, right, let's go clear that up. Like, let's learn what happened. And as long as you have discussed it in a deep way, so you actually know what it is that's on that line that's the problem, and there's a great technique called parts integration for that, then you can say, right, well, now with that learning, apply it to the future presentation you've got. Like, how are you going to be different in this one? It's like, I'm going to say, yeah, actually, like, so you can almost hear someone talking about it being like, well, that will be actually slightly different, because I don't really care what that person has to think about me any longer.
Yeah.
Or like, one of the great ones of public speaking is to say, like, look, normally people come to see me and in their head they're still thinking I'm below my audience, or I'm below the boss that's going to be watching me or something.
Right.
And I'm like, look, in the hierarchy of the company, maybe, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a better presenter. It doesn't mean you can't be a better than them in your output and your efficiency and everything you do as a role.
Yes.
It's like, so elevate yourself, because you know you're damn good. You probably just haven't been recognized before. This is your perfect opportunity to show them what you're made of.
Yeah.
And so you go into that meeting like, hang on a second, like I know more about this than anyone else does. Like, let's go into that meeting and show people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, well, 1 minute in, sure, you're going to have a little bit of anxiety, but 1 minute in, you're going to be like, okay, you can't shut me up now.
Yeah.
I'm off and running. And the whole thing is now like public speaking is just not a problem for people after that point. So it's, I mean, I know because I've spoken on lots of stages before, and you always have that energy beforehand, that kind of excitement, but it can come through as anxiety sometimes as well. So just recoding it a little bit. Your body's still doing the same thing. Yeah. It's just mentally, you're just thinking, okay, this is a positive experience rather than a negative experience.
Well, I think if you don't, public speaking is a critical skill for entrepreneurs if they want to scale their business, right? And if you want to talk on camera, which around YouTube may, is probably going to happen if you're going to play on that space.
Totally.
And I think it's interesting then, how that came before you ending up getting on YouTube, where actually a lot of YouTube success is down to how well you can come across on camera.
Yes, exactly.
So it's interesting that you did that first without really understanding where that would end up for you.
Yeah. I feel like my career's like meandered and I found myself in like the good point. It wasn't like I had like, because obviously being at like school or something, I was like, I can't wait for myself to be a YouTube advertiser. It's like YouTube didn't even exist.
Yeah, that was when the career officer sat down and said, here's what I think you'd be really good at. YouTube advertising is the future. You want to do that? No, they were still selling yellow pages, right? So, but I do think it's interesting how quite often our life, the bits in our life do actually stack, but we have to go through them and look backwards to see that, right? And I think, well, so let's can we just dive into this bit of it before we get onto the YouTube stuff? Because
whatever you want.
Well, because I think for a lot of people, whenever I talk about, say, you need to get on camera more, you need to be more visible, right? That's, let's just say money flows to visibility, right? The more visible you are, the more you've got to build a personal brand, all of the stuff we know, build a personal brand, level up your personal brand, all those kind of things. Whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Meta, whether it's on YouTube, it's the fear of being on camera seems to get in the way for a lot of people.
Yep.
Where do you think that comes from? And then B, how can we give people some tools or something to help deal with that?
Good question. Okay, cool. So where does it come from? I think that probably would be different for anybody, or for lots of different people. I think it's going to sound really harsh, but like, I think that we probably have a mindset of like, this is what I need to come across like. I need to be really polished, right? I need to be expert. I can't say ums and ahs, and I can't be anything but perfect, and whatever that vision is in your head. And it's a great thing to strive for, but you're going to watch videos back sometimes and you're like, that is nowhere near what I had in my mind, and I've done it so
quite often. Even now, today, I will still look back at stuff and go, that wasn't what I thought it was going to end up like at all.
Totally, yeah, exactly. You had a vision in your head, and when you watch it back, you're like, that is not how I had it planned. And then you're like, cool, let's go through film, and then you might get it to where you want it to be. And the funny thing is the market decides. So when you put those two videos out and you say, right, let's see what one works best. And the beauty with advertising is you can literally be like, I'm going to put a little bit of money behind this one and a little bit of money behind this, exactly the same audience, and see how they perform. And I can pretty much guarantee every time, the one where you're not being polished, the one where you're talking really authentically and almost like wanting to really get something off your chest, that one will outperform anything else. So we do away with scripts most of the time if we can avoid it, unless someone is like brilliant with auto cue. We'll just say, cool, get your lines in your head, but we're not going to go from that. We're going to literally just let you flow and do your thing and film it 20 times if need be, until the point where we're like, cool, that's in the can, that's good, let's move on. So one of the techniques that I'll talk about with a lot of people is to say, look, you're going to be terrible at this, really bad at this for half an hour. You're going to be so bad at this for half an hour. And that's what we're expecting. So we're going to have half an hour worth of footage on a chip somewhere in a camera, and we're going to bin it all. It's going to be rubbish. So that kind of puts them at ease a little bit. And you have to, when I direct with people as well, so if I'm in the studio with them or something, I'll direct with them and say, like, okay, cool, that was a terrible take. That's good. But I have fun with them. Do you know what I mean? And
that sucked. Oh, that's all right.
That's perfect example. A terrible take. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then just like work with them a little bit, and just say, okay, we're going to do it again. And you just let that kind of anxiety disappear, because it only lasts, your body can't hold on to anxiety for that long, really, once you're actually doing something. So give it 5 minutes and the person's like, okay, cool. Like, I now understand how this works.
Yeah.
A lot of the uncertainty of like what this day is going to be like with the cameras and the mics and stuff has disappeared. And now we can actually just get into actually get a good performance out of you. So then I can't change the way people look, unfortunately. Like there's only so much makeup will do, that type of thing. But if you can embrace like who you are and know that you've got some incredible insights that people should really know about.
Yes.
Then it's like, start with that. And now it's just a case of like getting that out of you, not in a polished way, but getting it out of you in a way that comes across well for a good level of communication for somebody else to listen to.
Yes.
You know? So it's a way of structuring your language, a way of like doing ads in certain ways. But yeah, it's kind of, the anxiety is always going to be there. So if people are fearful of public speaking or fearful of being on camera, that's always going to be, you're not going to absolutely let that disappear, but start it. And I bet you don't have that after 5 minutes. You know, just get into it and just enjoy it. Like
same as stage. I mean, walking out on stage, first 5 minutes I walk out on stage. This year, first 5 minutes walking out on stage at retreat, say, which was 65 people. We spent 2 months, 3 months prepping for it. First 5 minutes. Yeah, there's the blood's pumping, the heart rate's up, because you care about doing a good job, number one. And number two, you have to find the groove. You have to kind of fit into that, and that takes a couple of minutes to find that groove. And then when you're in it, you're like, okay, I can relax now. I'm okay, I'm home, I'm here. But I think anytime shooting video, it's always interesting, isn't it? Because I look at some of the stuff I did years ago, and I'm reminded of the graph that says, the skill versus excitement graph, where it's like, at the beginning, your excitement's high, but your skill is really low. So you're excited about it, but you're just not very good at it. And you have to get through that kind of, the excitement drops off as you realize it's harder than you thought it was going to be. It's going to take you longer than you thought it was going to be, right? But while you're doing that, your skill level is coming up, and you get to this point when you kind of get the aha of like, oh, hang on a second, I can do this. Wait a minute, hang on a second, my skill levels. But most people quit before the skill level gets good enough for them to go, yeah, all right, I can get beyond this, because the first bit is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to not feel right or not know how to look down a camera or whatever it is. Yep. It's uncomfortable, and then it's like muscle. I think about it like muscle memory. It's like the more you do, the better you will get, and then the better the muscle gets, and to the point at which you go, oh yeah, I can pick up a camera and talk for 5 minutes, and it's no issue at all. But you've got to do the reps, right?
Totally.
You have to do the reps.
And that's the thing, is that there's almost like there's 4 stages of learning, isn't it? It's like you get the unconscious incompetence, where at that level where you're like, I don't know what I'm actually meant to be doing. And then like, am I good at this? I don't know. And there's like a lot of like little uncertainty there. And then you get real good certainty when you realize, actually, I'm not good at this. Like you get behind the camera and you're like, oh, I'm terrible at this. And or far worse than I thought it was going to be. And you're not going to be able to be like, oh, I'm in front of camera and I absolutely nailed it. I'm like, it's never like no one's got in front of camera and then being like, I nailed it first time and I've never had to do a retake or something. That's never going to happen. So then you go into the point where you're like, okay, cool, I've got to think, but I can do it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people stay in that realm for a long time, because it's like, well, perfect thing with like on camera versus on stage. On stage, you can't be like, let me just do that again. It doesn't work quite so well.
No, that's true. You get one go at that one, and then you walk off, and then I think that's more pressurizing. I can't remember who told me years ago. May well have been you, but someone just said record for the delete button. And I really liked that, because it's like, it's digital now. It doesn't matter, like when 20 years ago, whatever, it was expensive to hire a camera crew to do stuff. Just spend half an hour shooting in front of an iPhone every day, and you're going to get really good at it because you're doing it every day. And it's like, it doesn't matter. If they're no good, just delete it, right? It doesn't matter. No one else has to see the footage. It doesn't actually matter. But I also think it's about just being human, right? Like, be human. If we're seeing having a conversation now, we will no doubt say ums and ahs and things, because it's real life. If we go through and edit all that out, it just starts to feel like it's too perfect. It's too polished. You're not like me. You're not a human being. I remember, I can't remember what kind of got me triggered, but I remember walking out into the back garden sometime over the summer. I remember what it was, and I grabbed my iPhone and I just recorded for 3 minutes of me sort of, and it was a Saturday morning. I hadn't shaved. I'd had a workout top on or something. It was like I was chilled out, wasn't polished or anything, and I ranted about something that had really got me wound up, particularly about whatever that was going on, and I remember putting it up on LinkedIn and going, "Oh, no one's gonna rate this like it." But at least I've said my piece. I've done it. I'd committed to post a video a day on LinkedIn or whatever, and I was like, right, I've done that goal. And then that video got so much feedback, and people going, "Oh, I love this. This is great. Do more of this. Whatever. Do more of this. It's really real. It's really authentic." Yeah, and I was like. Yeah, nobody cared that I was stood in the garden and hadn't shaved that morning. Nobody cared. It was like, exactly. Yeah, all the stuff I thought made it work. Actually, what they cared about was the content, the message, the energy. That's the stuff they cared about.
And it's off the cuff.
And it was off the cuff, yeah. And it wasn't planned, and it was just in the moment of like, I need to share this.
It's spontaneous. Yeah, and it's you being raw, right?
Yeah.
A lot of our ads that we do with clients, it's like we try and capture that from them as well. And it's engineered a little bit, but it's still done in such a way where we make the ad feel like they're just stumbling across. Actually, I should probably explain something to you real quick. And then they explain it to you in a way that's like, this doesn't feel like it's scripted.
Right.
So it's kind of planned. It's not scripted. And then it really does feel like, I've just fallen upon a video that's really insightful. And hey, hang on a second, I might take this to the next stage as well. So we do a lot of that. We try and capture it, we engineer it, but it's like when it's really raw, as you say, like if you just do it for 3 minutes and you just go for it,
yeah,
some of the best content you can create from that point.
Yeah, and I think you told me earlier that you'd done some stuff with Greg Secker or whatever, and I can remember one of his ads when he was stood on a boat going up the Thames or something.
That
right,
really wild. Yeah.
And he was holding his iPhone, and it was on a Wednesday or whenever he shot it, and I was like, oh, I remember that because it wasn't in a studio and it wasn't probably for, that one. I was like, yeah, I remember that one. I don't know if it did well or not, but I would assume it did.
Ran for a long time, did well.
Yeah. So I think sometimes you have to kind of go with like, what is the environment that's really just real for where you're at and what you're doing, right?
Yep.
So that was your first business.
Yes, so I grew that one. Yep.
And then what happened? Where did you go after that?
So Google advertising, Google AdWords was working really well for me for a long time. And then Google, as they grew, they realized they didn't like certain things. So they didn't like people having landing pages that were just purely a page dedicated to capture someone's details. They don't mind it now, but they didn't like it for a period.
Is that the Google slap?
That was the Google slap, yeah. We've been around the block for a while.
Yeah, you and I sat. Whoops, that one dated us. Sorry.
Don't know what you're talking about. So I got the Google slap, and so I kept on like thinking, well, hang on a second, this is my way of generating this business. And so then I kind of went back to my brochure website. It didn't work quite so well. And I was just like struggling to get the AdWords working like they used to. Still working, but I was like, I used to have really good margins, and this is like eating away at those margins a little bit. And then I said, oh, do you know what I'll do? I'll try and I went to this marketing group, and they said, well, look, try and get audio on your website. That's the new cool thing to do. I don't know if you remember, like when you send a little audio message, you're supposed to press play, and normally in the top right-hand corner of a website, so someone could press play, and you'd be like, it's like a little message from the business owner.
Right.
And I was like, that is cool. I got to do that. And then I was like, okay, cool. I tried to start the process, and I was like, okay, I don't like the sound of my own voice. It sounds horrible. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to see if I can do a video, because YouTube had just started like becoming a bit more mainstream. I was like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and make a YouTube video. And I went down to my my dad, who's based down the South Coast where I grew up. I was like, Dad, you have a video camera somewhere, don't you? From like our childhood or something. He was like, yeah. But dusted it off, and I got it up to my office, and I had an office in central London in Covent Garden, and it was me in there. And I could only film in the evenings because I was saying things like, "Hi, it's Tom Breeze here," and I must have said that, no joke, over 100 times. I was like, my next door neighbour's going to get so pissed off with me if I carry on. So I waited till everyone left in the office, and I was like, right, now I'll do it. But I didn't really have any lighting, so it was always like downward office lighting that was there.
It's very flattering.
Yeah,
very flattering.
Yeah,
yep.
This is like when I was in my 20s. I didn't really mind quite so much. These days, different story. But so it had terrible lighting. The audio wasn't too clever, but I had worked out how to use a dictaphone and then sync it up afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah, man, I took it to a whole new level. But the camera that I was using would run out of battery. I didn't have a plug, so I had to take the battery charger out and charge it up again. But I could see it when it blinked, when it was like getting close to the end of the battery life. So sometimes I was doing a take, and I was like, I know it's going to cut out on my take. And so it's the most frustrating thing, because I only have one battery as well. So it ended up being about a week's worth, because I didn't realize you could edit. videos. So like you have to just get it in one take.
take.
And it's like, and you just upload that apparently. And so I was just terrible at all of this. And so I was learning the hard way. But I managed to get like a video done, and it was a 7-minute video. And it's funny, actually, there's podcasts of me a few years ago, so don't ever do a 7-minute. And now I'm like, 7-minute works really well. So different for different times. But it was a 7-minute video. It was me polished like as best I could do it. And I put it up on my website, and my conversion rate was around about 7%. So of the people that came to my website, we'd have 7% of those people would contact me.
Yeah, cool.
Put the video on there, and my conversion rate jumped to 22%.
Wow.
So it was like 3x and a bit more on the number of people that like inquired. And they would just put their name and email and just a contact button, and I'll call them back and close them. It was the simplest funnel ever. And that got my cost per acquisition down hugely.
Yeah.
And I was like, this video thing's pretty cool. And I was like, maybe I should do a few more videos. So then I was like thinking, okay, I can do more and more of this video stuff. And I was just doing videos, and then I was like building a database of all the people that hadn't or had joined us and hadn't joined us. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'm doing video now. And then I'll use my whole database and I'll just send them out content videos, and I'll get really creative. I remember there's one that like it was snowing in London. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go outside and just make some sort of metaphor out of the snow and how it's appropriate for your public.
No, and public speaking. How in the world did you join those two up?
No, I don't even remember now. But what I remember about that video is I used a song that I really enjoyed, and then I ran it as an ad. In the end, and it was like, no, you can't have other people's music.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay,
copyright issues.
Yeah, so I just deleted it. But it was, so I'd do all this like out and about videos, and just like really got into video. But it would be amazing because I'd do one video, send it out to the database, and I had like 15 clients come through, and I was like, this is just insanely easy, and so much fun as well at the same time. And so I was like, right, video is the way to go. So started doing a lot more advertising with video, but then I kind of got distracted a little bit because I was trying to get my website to rank really high. And I met a guy that said, oh, don't think about getting your website ranked. Think about getting your videos ranked.
Right.
So I had all these videos on YouTube, and we started doing like SEO work to try and get those videos really high. And this guy was like really helpful. He kind of like worked out how to do video SEO basically. And then as that was kind of growing and improving and getting better and better results all the time, I was like, this video SEO, that's the way to go. And in the end, we started doing more and more video for clients, or kind of people would see the videos I was doing. Actually, I ran a workshop on public speaking and brought everyone together. And I sold it with a video. And then a few of the business owners that came to the room were saying, hey, come and they were like, how did you do that video on your website? And I was like, showed them. They're like, can you do it for me as well? So we ended up doing video.
You literally pivoted the business around that.
Exactly. Yeah. Ended up doing that.
So you're running a workshop, and people want you to suddenly start doing video for them because it obviously works so well for you. But were they just random business owners, or by that, I mean, or were they all marketers at that point?
I would probably attract, just through our advertising, more like high level people in companies, like C-level type people, or business owners, because they'd be the ones that normally be in big meetings, big presentations,
right?
And would come to me because they're like, holy crap, I'm crapping myself because next week I've got this big presentation. I've called in sick 14 times. I can't do the 15th time. I might lose my job at that.
Somebody might figure out that I'm maybe not ideally designed for doing presentations, so I need to fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So you started, so the business sort of morphed out of the first one into the second one, or did you then decide to set an agency up at that point? Or no,
my intention was never to set up an agency. So I didn't even.
13 years later, running an agency, it's going well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm still waiting to start an agency. No, I'm joking. So I ended up like I said to these clients, like, well, not even clients. I was just. They were, I suppose, like public speaking clients at that point. I was like, yeah, I can come to you with film a few bits, I'll edit them up, just do what I'm doing, basically. And by that point, I got a bit better at working out how to use the camera, and bought some lights and bought some mics that plugged into the camera finally. So I'll go and film them, and it'll be plenty good enough for a good web video or something along those lines. Then I met a business partner that was, I met a guy who ended up becoming a business partner, who was really good at SEO. So I was like looking for like, how do I use these videos other than just advertising?
Right.
My videos got ranked really, really highly. And I was like, how do I engineer that? So I worked with this guy. He ended up coming on as a business partner and just like working a lot with like SEO video. So I'd go and film videos with clients,
Okay.
and then we'll get them ranked all over the world, basically, because you get them on Google and
Yeah.
appear in the Google rankings and the YouTube rankings
Yeah.
for some pretty amazing keywords. So we like, so one of our clients actually kind of ranked for, well, tons of different things, but like one of the big ones we had was like, I was getting out of the public speaking space because I was loving the video space, but we got a client ranked for public speaking skills and presentation training and that type of stuff. It just generates this huge amount of business for them. And I was like, cool, like we had to have a bit of a plan around the SEO world and how to do that, like do a series of videos. And then we had like a team well, at the end, it would become like a team that would do, like basically take all these videos, link them up properly and get these rankings.
Okay.
I still to this day don't know all the ins and outs of the SEO world, but I know it well enough to be dangerous, but not actually execute on any of it. And so I know, in theory, I know how to do SEO, but just haven't pushed the buttons before. But so that, and then in the end, like, that was going really well. And I kind of suppose we had a bit of an agency at that point. It was going pretty well. But then before it even really took off, Google made some more changes, as they always do. That was when they brought out, do you remember the Hummingbird and the Panda updates?
I remember Panda updates, and then the Panda update caused all kinds of challenges for people.
Yeah, exactly. They just like looked at all these links and they said, that's a fake link, that's a real link. And yeah, in the end, it was like they'd be encouraging people to have backlinks to their website for years and years. And they were like, no, we don't like backlinks anymore.
Yeah.
Unless they're kind of like really legit ones from an educational company or something like that. And so in the end, what we found is that like a load of our rankings started dropping. And so we kind of realized that, okay, SEO is not the way, well, for me at least, I was like, SEO is not the future for me. I just don't know it well enough. It's super geeky. And it's like, it's not a passion of mine. But I was like, well, we're creating really good video now. And I'm using all my background to achieve it with like NLP and that type of thing. And then also, I was like, I've got to go back to the advertising. That was just, I knew that really well because I'd kind of run it myself.
Yeah.
And so for a few of our clients that were doing really getting amazing results for the SEO stuff, their results were dipping. It hadn't like lost itself just yet, but I could just see that like...
Yeah, the end was happening, right?
Yeah. And so I said, well, do you know what? I'm going to take some of my personal money and just put some money behind their videos to see if I can get it to like advertise a little bit. So YouTube had just come out with advertising, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to try and run this video as an ad and see how that works. And I spent my own money, and I went to the client. I was like, okay, cool. I've spent like £100 on these ads, and well, actually, no, I didn't say how much I spent. I said I'm spending a little bit of money on these ads. Are you seeing any like leads come through? And they're like, haven't noticed anything different from what we're getting from SEO. I'm like, great, because the bad news is the SEO is dying, and you're not getting out, but the advertising might be working. And they're like, cool, we'll carry on. I was like, sweet. So I carried on. And I said, look, by the way, now I'm like paying for it. How much would you like pay per lead, just out of interest, if I was to get you more and more leads?
Right.
And they said, well, look, and then they ran their numbers, and I think they were trying to rip me off anyway. And they were like, I'll give you like £10 per lead. And I was like, okay. Because it was costing me about £2 per lead at that time. So they didn't know.
So you were doing all right. Your margin was fine.
My margin was great. And I was just sitting at home just pressing buttons. And my client was also thinking, I've got the steal of the century because these leads are really, really good. And I'm making a ton of money. So like just a really good relationship. And so we ended up working with that client for years. But that was the first client where I was like, hang on a second, I've created the video with them. I've set it up as an ad. I'm spending my own money to get them results, and they're paying for results.
Yeah.
And we scaled up. We like scaled up in a big way. And then they introduced me to more people. I started building. So again, I was like building a new business. But again, I was like, I'm not planning on building an agency, but just falling into that trap again. Well, not a trap. It's a great trap to be in. But like
so how big was the agency at that point?
When I first started, it was just me, because we got rid of we ended up kind of like mutually agreeing to part ways, and because we weren't going to do SEO anymore. And then we ended up just saying, it was just me, back to me. We got rid of any staff because I didn't know them anyway. They were all on the SEO side. I was like one-man band for the video stuff. But then I was like, cool, I need help. And so we ended up hiring a few people straight away. So Rich, who works with me, he's worked with me for now, like I think going on 10 years now or something like that. And he's just like a media buying expert, or has become. He was a Google guy. I taught him YouTube. And then I just said, if you can keep on doing that, I'll keep on getting clients. And so we ended up just like two of us, and then we got an editor. And then we ended up like hiring freelancers for video that we know really, really well. And it's just kind of grown through like not necessarily advertising to our own clients, but just more like word of mouth and referrals has just helped us grow really quickly. So
how many people on the team now in terms of
we've been up and down. So like we were like during COVID, I think we had like 20, I think it was.
Okay.
And then afterwards, and some of those are like full time, some of them is like hired on a when needed or freelance basis. And right now I think we're on 13. I think it is.
So
so
good sized business, right? Like
yeah, exactly. And it's interesting how AI is evolving as well, because that will influence not only who we need and who's more valuable and who is valuable these days, but it changes massively. So yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, is that in the book? Do you talk about AI in here in the book at all, or
we do talk about it a little bit, but more from what Google is providing you with, like the algorithms and how AI is affecting that. How AI is affecting like video creative, that's like a new frontier that's ever evolving. Like this morning I was just chatting with my team as well as kind of some absolute experts. And I'm like, cool, we're on the right track. And also they're also introducing new ways of doing things all the time. So happy to talk about it. It's
I was curious as to what your take is on sort of some of the AI platforms that are coming out at the moment to help people create video where they don't have to be in front of the camera. And they can create quite compelling videos. And obviously YouTube recently demonetized, didn't it, AI videos on...
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't actually...
Yeah, so they said they were worried about a proliferation of it just all being AI-generated content on YouTube and no humans anymore. And so they said, well, actually, we're not going to monetize those videos from AI at the moment. Who knows, they may do one day, but just to make sure that they keep the human element in the YouTube platform, really. So I think most business owners get the power of video. They may not be using it, but they get the power of it, right? Like it's very hard to be in business, I think, and in the next year not be using video in different places, right? Think about it this way. Well, there was this whole trend, wasn't there? It was called user-generated content. Which was your customers shooting video about your products and stuff like that, right? Now, the whole kind of big trend this year, and certainly in 2025, the big trend is team-generated content. This is the big kind of thing everyone's talking about now, is that actually now, if you want to be seen as a successful brand, it's not just the founder that needs to create content or the CEO. Actually, your team needs to create content, whether that's people, in the packaging warehouse, people they're shipping stuff out, or whether it's, sales guys out on the road or engineers, out. Like content from the team will start to become, more relevant and more connection. If you go back a few years, I don't know if you ever remember this, but there were some of the, before it got sold, Eddie Stobart truckers and stuff who used to have YouTube. A couple of the guys would have YouTube. They would have millions of followers and as independent drivers, essentially, but people like the personalities. And I think this whole kind of, it's going to be interesting how it evolves in the next 12 months, sort of as people, because corporates try and control that, right? We don't want you having a voice. We don't want you having a platform. We don't want you out there being, but that sort of an influential person. But actually, I think, if you don't embrace video across lots of areas of the business, I think you're going to be left behind.
I think there's definitely so the ad platforms in particular now are kind of hinting at the fact that we need huge amounts of volume and huge amounts of variety as well. So I think that would flow from that. If you've got good team members that can engage with the audience and can be good on camera, like I say, good on camera, just like authentic and come across well, then definitely a space for that for sure, because we need to create more content. And I think that, like, whilst I love video, it's almost like a necessity to advertising. And I don't think in terms of all the levers in your business, there's not many levers that are transformative, like as transformative as advertising. If you're running a company, like, okay, let's look at the financing, and you can get really creative with it. You may be able to acquire another company. It's not like it's easy, quick like changes there, and operations wise, it's like, well, sure, you could make quite a lot of changes there, but it's not instant, and it's going to cost you a lot of money to make those changes. And it's kind of however big you are, it can be quite a challenge to make
for sure.
Changes. Whereas advertising is almost like today, you could change the future of your business. Like if you can work out how to actually run ads properly, and get your cost per acquisition down, and get the revenue from the customer to be higher, all of a sudden your business model looks completely different overnight if you can fix advertising. That's why I love it so much. And it just so happens, if you want to be good at advertising, you've got to be damn good at video. They go hand in hand.
I think it's an interesting, isn't it? I think most startups, most founders are underfunded. So they don't raise money to start. They do it out of the back bedroom or on their own capital or whatever, on credit card debt. And I've done all of those. And then I've also raised money, raised millions of pounds of investment money to start a business. And that's a heck of a lot easier than doing it on your credit card. But I think the challenge is most people have a resistance to spending money to acquire customers, because when they're underfunded, they just think, well, I'll just do it myself, right? I'll create content. And, even creating content, I mean, there's 3 types of traffic, aren't there? You're either going to buy it, you're either going to borrow it from other people in joint ventures or partnerships, or you're going to buy, borrow, and create. You're essentially going to create it by putting content out.
Organic stuff.
Yeah, organic stuff. But that takes time. That's still time and effort. And you're probably going to need those videos edited by somebody anyway. So there is a cost. There is a time cost or a cash cost to anything you put out content-wise. So like today, we're in a studio, we're filming, you're here, I'm here. We've got an editor here. We've got editors who'll deal with this afterwards. We're hiring the studio. There is an upfront cost to creating content. Even if it's just you and your iPhone, the cost is time. Yep. And I think I think advertising allows you to sort of jumpstart that and accelerate your growth.
Yeah, exactly. If you're kind of like starting a business from today and you didn't have like a product or a good offer or it's like, cool, do not do advertising. That's a crazy decision to get into it immediately.
True.
But if you have like a really effective offer, and it could be a funnel, but it doesn't have to be even a funnel. It could be something really simple,
right? Where
someone can say, do you know what, I want to work with that person, and then you can get in front of them. Then I think that like you can do the organic route for sure, and I can see the attractiveness of organic, and I think everyone should be doing it regardless,
right?
Like we're here now creating organic content, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a level of, for me at least, where it's just like I don't want an offer to work purely because it's a JV or purely because it's like organic, because I'm kind of relying on YouTube to or whatever platform you're using organically to give me that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if they change the algorithm, you could lose everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And if it's a JV, it's like, cool, I've got to build that relationship. There's a lot of trust that goes into that. And if I screw it up and I don't make as many sales as the other person wanted or something, it's like, okay, cool. Will that likely happen again? It's like you're still relying on somebody else.
They're not going to, joint ventures are not going to market for you every month, right? So you can't scale the business. So come back to that key thing of like, if you want to scale up, you've got to have a level of predictability in terms of lead gen and customer flow.
Exactly.
You can't get that with organic, and you can't get that with partnerships.
No.
So
exactly,
at some point, you're going to have to do paid traffic.
Well, that's what my mindset is, like, just be completely independent.
Yes.
I mean, to be like, on my own, I can make profit very quickly.
Yeah.
And I can say, right, I know how to run these ad platforms really effectively. It's far easier than it used to be, for sure. That's kind of like why I'm kind of starting to get into more of the educational piece of it as well. But but I know that like if you're completely independent, then a JV is a lovely thing to have.
Yeah.
I mean, and organic is an amazing thing to have, and build your brand. You don't have to sell organically, and it makes life easy. Whereas if you figure out your ads first, it's almost like, right, you've got that level of independence, you've got that level of control.
Yeah.
And it's predictable, it's reliable. You just need to know how to do it, essentially. Yeah. That's the most important thing.
Okay, so let's talk about Google. Let's talk about YouTube. Let's jump into YouTube for a minute.
Yeah.
So first of all, why should people be paying attention to YouTube?
I think it's whenever you want to get customers, you want to get customers that are high quality, and you want to get as many of them as you can get, basically.
Sure.
So you want good volume at the right price, and good quality.
Right.
I don't think you can get better quality from anywhere else than from YouTube.
Really?
Because the platform is designed. If you can get them off of YouTube and wanting your stuff, it's good. There's a very high probability that people are on YouTube because they're looking for something. They're looking for, like, sure, entertainment's one factor of YouTube, like funny videos or engaging, insightful videos are sure as well. But sometimes you go to YouTube because you're like, I'm really passionate about subject matter and I keep on following this person and I want to go deeper, or I'm searching for something in particular.
Yeah.
And Google have all that data around you. So then when you go to YouTube and you see an ad that's really relevant, there's a very good chance you've been showing YouTube and Google for a long time. Here's my behavior. Here's what I'm into. This is what I'm looking for right now. And it just so happens your ad pops up in front of us. Yeah. And then I click that. And then the chance of me buying, but also investing and sticking around for a long time is really like the best quality audience you can get, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased. So
but that's okay. But that's your experience, right? So, I mean, so let's talk about your framework then. So you have this thing called I think you go into in the book here called the 5 A's framework, right? Yeah. So let's just walk through what is the 5 A framework, first of all, and then let's talk about how people can use it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So the 5 A's are like the 5 key elements to make advertising work, essentially. Okay. We've kind of brought it out of YouTube, but we apply it to Meta. Any platform would make this work. So the 5 A's, you've got, and I think of it like a star, and the top star is like the aims.
Yes.
What it is you need to do as a business. Now, we can get into that in just a second. Let's just go through the 5.
Yeah, give us the 5 first, right?
And then we can go through it. Yeah. So then you've got the acquisition. How are you going to take like people that come to your site to actually turn into customers? That's kind of like a key part of it. Like, what's your funnel, or what's your sales process, or customer journey? Then you'll have your account, for example, how your account is set up, how the account is like, that's more of the nitty gritty of like Facebook versus YouTube versus whatever account you've got, so to speak.
Got it.
And the kind of the nuances to make that work. Then you've got your audiences, like who it is you're trying to target and get in front of. That's kind of, we'll get into that in a second. And then you've got the ads themselves. Now, those 5, so what was it? Aims, acquisition, account, audience, and ads. Those 5, like if you can get those 5 nailed down, you're going to probably be very successful with the advertising. But we've been in a place where for the longest time, the account and the audience have been in charge. And so like that's really been a media buyer's job, is to say, I can get your ads in front of the perfect people. And they were like, that's 80% of the work done. And your ads, whatever, like if you've got a semi-good ad, that's fine, because there's not that much competition.
Okay.
So it's like the media buyer was the most important person, the person that like places the ad in the right place.
Right.
That's all changed. Like over the last like 2 or 3 years, like that's completely changed. It's a completely different landscape altogether. Think of it like this. Okay. So like the best way I can think of it is like when you were a kid, and you got in the car, as a kid, like in like say like 17 or something, when you first learned to drive, and you're like, cool. A really good example was like when I was 17, I drove down to Cornwall, down on the south coast with mates. There's no such thing as sat nav at that time. To date myself completely here, but there wasn't like sat nav. There was no phones that like take you that. And so what you do is the day before, like the week before, you'd start highlighting the
on a map.
You go on, on a map. So you'd have a physical map. And then you get in the car and you start driving, and you might know the first few roads, so you can like, cool. If there's a bit of traffic, you know to come off and go to different places. But then once you're down in like going further and further away from home, you're like, now these roads I'm unfamiliar with.
Yes,
I've just got to stick and look for the signs and take off my right turnings and stuff like that. And if it's an address in a certain location, you're just gonna have to find that road and make that like wherever you're going, so to speak. So you'd highlight it, you would like, and then you'd talk about like, right, what happens when we're going to do a pit stop, and you'd talk to your friends because you couldn't call them on the phone. That was what like life was like, right? So, and if you were like driving in London, not a chance. You're not going to get the map out and be like, we're going here.
No.
You'd be like, I'm going to get to London, I'm going to tube it or train it.
Or, way too challenging, right?
Too much, right?
Taxi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you get a taxi who also doesn't have it, but they've got the knowledge, right? They've got like their years of experience of living in London and
the living, breathing sat nav. Let's be honest, that's what they were. And yeah, exactly.
And they would know. Like if you were to try and go from A to B in London, they'd be like, cool, we're not going this route that people would recommend. We're going back streets all the way. And they would know those roads really, really well. And that's the way to think of like what media buying was like on YouTube, like let's say pre 3 years, like take 3 years back and then before that. Okay. For the first like probably like 7 or 8 years of me like running ads on YouTube, it was very much like I was like it felt like I had a map, like a physical map, where I'm like, I'm going to place my ad here, I'm going to place my ad here, I place my ad here. If it doesn't work, I can turn it off, and if it does work, I'm going to turn it on, and that sort of thing. And it's like very, very manual, but because you can be so specific, then you just be like, right, I've got my one ad probably that I'm going to put in front of all these places, and I can engineer it because I've got the choice. Like, I decide which road we go on, and I can. But I wasn't. You're not very good at it, really. You kind of like you're like I'm going to choose this map, and I've chosen my destination, I've chosen how to get there, but it's still very manual at that point. So that was like how it worked for a long, long time. And if you want to be good at it, it's like having the taxi driver with the knowledge. Like, you would say like, cool, I need like the good people, or like people with knowledge, because they know it without having to look at the map. And then we all got given sat navs, weren't we? Yeah. And it's like, do you remember the TomTom?
Yeah, the good old TomTom. Yeah, back in the day.
They came out and it was like, wow, as soon as you had a TomTom, that was like the perfect Christmas present of the year type thing. It was like everyone had one. You stuck it up, put your destination, and you didn't have to think anymore. You just followed the screen and you just drive there, right? And that was like a revolution in driving. And the same things kind of happened with Google over the last few years, is that like a lot of the deciding where your ads show and the targeting has all changed. So now it's like the algorithm kind of takes over. It's like having Waze on your phone, you know, like when you're going somewhere now. It's almost like, look, you don't know where you're driving, but you're trusting the AI to be like, you're not going on the motorway because there's a problem with the motorway. We found some back roads for you. And so you drive and you're going to get to the destination as fast as possible with the sat nav telling you where to go. And that's kind of where we're at currently with advertising. It's like you work with an algorithm and it will find you the audience instead of you manually choosing where the audience is.
Right. Surely we should be having 6 A's. Algorithm must be 1.
That fits nicely inside.
Or is it the middle?
Account. Yeah. Well, yeah, AI just completely.
AI is in the middle of the star. Is that what that would probably make sense, because it kind of impacts all of them, doesn't it? Right?
Changes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like the kind of the adoption of AI inside of Google's platform, and inside of Meta and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's not as good a platform for advertising. It can be good for lots of people, but it's not like it is on YouTube and Google and Meta. And so so we're kind of in this space now where if you imagine, as soon as the sat nav came out, it was like we didn't need the person with the knowledge. Like it was like, cool, taxi driver, I've actually got a TomTom now, so I'm okay. I don't need you any longer. And then when it like TomTom was good for like just showing you where you're going, but then as soon as it got connected to the traffic, like with Waze, then it's like I really don't need a taxi driver any longer. I just plug it in and it's going to get me there faster than anyone else would. And so we've kind of got the same thing with the algorithm now.
Right.
So it's a level playing field for targeting and finding your audience. It's not quite perfectly level, but like some people have advantages because of different reasons I can talk about. But essentially, if you want to advertise on these platforms, you're relying on the algorithm to find your audience for you.
Okay.
So it's level the platform. So the thing now, which wasn't the case before, is that now the way you get an advantage now is to say, we've got to create better ads. We've got to create better ads.
So the creative is becoming more important now than ever before.
I would say it's 80+%, if not more.
Really?
Of your, almost like your creative is your targeting. The way you create your ad will determine how the algorithm puts it in front of your audience.
Right.
And so if you have ads that are, and people talk a good game about ads all the time, but I really don't feel like many people actually fully understand kind of what it takes to create a really good ad. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but it has to be talking about authenticity and talking about volume and we're talking about like variety of different ads. It's like, don't think of it like I've got to create my one ad. You got to probably create 20 ads sometimes.
Yeah, or 50 and then test them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's a certain way of structuring those ads in different ways. It's like, now you've got like what the algorithm really needs, because it will be able to show the right ad to the right person at the right time. You can't do that. You can't manually sit there and be like, okay, I want that person when they go on this site for this ad 17 to show, you can't connect it all up, but the algorithm can do it. So you got to lean into the algorithm and be like, right, it's still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's what we've got, and it's better as long as you know how to work with it.
Okay, so let me just let me imagine I'm listening to the show. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a founder. I'm looking to scale the business, want more customers and stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe what's running through my head, there's a few things that I would be thinking right now, because some of them I'm thinking right now, but some of them I totally know that people would be thinking. Number one, if I'm going to use YouTube for ads, do I need to have a YouTube channel, and do I need to put content up on it first?
It helps, but you don't need it.
So you don't need to have done that, but it's useful if you have.
These days, you don't even need to have a channel at all. You can actually just upload your media into the ad platform.
Oh, right.
Run it from there if you want to, which is quite new. But for the longest time, I would have said, like, have a YouTube channel and then just put all your ads on there, but you can have them as unlisted, so no one sees them apart from the people that see it as an ad.
Right.
And for people that have big YouTube channels already that might freak out about the idea of having ads on their channel as well as organic content, you can just create another ad, but another channel. Sorry.
Yeah.
But if you do have a really good organic presence, it's only going to help your ads as well. If you have like a really good brand and you've got really good content out there, because inevitably you see an ad and you'd be like, yeah, I might sign up for that. And then afterwards you'd be like, let's go and find out who this person actually is.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to watch hours of their content. Great. You're probably going to convert them
higher.
Well,
that's the whole Google messy middle thing, isn't it? Which they talk about now, like I might see you and then I'm going to go off and watch you on 15 different platforms and then eventually come back. So exactly. There's 7 hours of consumption and all those good metrics. So just a question though for me, how much do you need to get started? First of all, let's just answer that question. Like, as a marketing budget, how much do you need to get started?
You can run different types of campaigns. So you could start with $5 a day. Or £5 a day.
Right.
The way to do that is to use something called in-feed video ads.
Yes.
If you created a really cool long bit of content, or if you know you've got an ad or video, that just really resonates with people and it just really works, and it's also on a particular topic. So let's say, for example, you created a video about, I don't know, give me a topic that you may have created a video about.
recruitment. Let's talk about recruiting your teams, right? How to recruit A grade players. Let's go there for a second.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So then you might say, right, I'm going to release that like video, and you release it as what's called an in-feed video ad, which means your thumbnail of your video will be sponsored, but it doesn't really show big sponsored.
I've seen them on a page, right? They're there, but it does say underneath sponsored, but it is there.
Yeah, exactly. And the sponsors it actually now says ad, so it's actually really, you don't really notice it's actually an ad, but it's essentially just your video thumbnail, and it behaves just like an organic video. So if they press play, it plays in YouTube, and then you can still have a call to action underneath it, like a little button if you want to. You don't have to have that either, but you can basically spend a very small amount of money every day. I mean, £5 shouldn't break the bank for most business owners.
Yes.
And then what you can do is say, right, well, let's just do that for the time being. And then you can choose the keywords or the specific audience. You can say, I just want to get in front of 40-year-old females that are really interested in this topic.
Right.
And then your thumbnail of your video will only show to those people.
Right.
So it means that you can like engineer the kind of and you only have to pay when someone clicks to play your video.
Right.
So as long as your video thumbnail is appropriate and it kind of like sells it, say how to attract A-star players to your team or something, then you might say, I just want to talk to males and females over the age of 35, and they might have an interest in business and that type of thing, and they have to be in central London or something. Right. Whatever you want to do.
How geographical can you target?
You can it's a postcode.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
Although I'd say that it starts to get a little inefficient at that point, you probably want to go a little bit broader if you can. But yeah, we'll run like, if someone's filling up a local event, for example, we'd normally do like 20 to 30 miles around that location. That's only because that's how far people travel. Yeah, you can still attract a big audience there.
Okay.
And then, so then you essentially just put $5 a day behind it. And the engagement on those videos is huge because it's coming across like an organic video.
Yeah.
So it's a great starting place. It also does well because it seeds your, kind of gets some like activity going in your ad account, and you start to see what keywords work well for you, which ones don't. And then after that, you can be like, cool, I've got some knowledge that people like my content.
Okay.
And also I know what kind of keywords are working. That will really inform me well for when I now do a bigger campaign.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, so you can get started with super cheap. But then you kind of, to do the big stuff, you probably, I would say, have $100 a day budget.
Okay, so it's not crazy money, right? Like you don't need to have a $10,000 spend a month to really figure this out.
No, totally not. And the algorithm needs 5 conversions a day, it says in the ad account. So if you're going for lead gen and you want it to cost you $20 or £20 a lead, and you say, cool, £100 budget should get you there as long as the numbers are working out. And you're like, cool, that's perfect. And then you can quickly see if those leads are good quality, and I talk about engineering good quality leads. But it means that then you can say, cool, the algorithm's learning. It's not kind of getting dribs and drabs of data. It's getting good quality data coming through.
Okay.
And it's going to get you more and more of that if you want that.
Got it. So give me the top 3. I mean, it might be in your book. So if it is, tell me where in the book and we'll make sure people go to it. But what are the top 3 mistakes you see people make with ads?
Okay, good. There's so many, but good questions.
Well, give us your top. You can go 5 if you want, but like, what are the ones that people come to you and you look at ad accounts and you go, oh, they're making the same. What are the top 4 or 5 that they're making on a regular basis? Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'd say the first thing is the ads. Like that's easily the biggest.
What, like, creatively,
yeah.
Right.
They're just. And I don't know. Like. So what we did it was probably about 2 years ago, we started this project where we kind of gathered up every single video we've ever run for clients, as well as took some of their data, because sometimes we get access to ad accounts that they've been running ads for 6-7 years or something. So we have a huge amount of data, probably more than I would say anyone on YouTube advertising, because we just worked with so many brands across and all direct response as well. So like we're not doing brand awareness campaigns.
Okay.
Kind of like we spend money to get customers.
Got it.
Profitably. And so we did analysis of all of them. And I was like, cool, I want a transcription of every single video that worked and every single video that didn't work.
Wow.
Anything in the middle, I'm like, it's just average data. I don't need to learn too much from that. But I want to know what like worked really well and what worked really badly. Did the transcriptions, and luckily AI helped us with like a lot of the understanding about what works and what doesn't work. But we went through all the transcriptions, and some of the best ads that we looked at were like, they couldn't even read them. They were just like really the conversation or the kind of the script was just I was reading it through, I'm like, this doesn't even make sense, half this stuff. It's like they interrupt themselves, they're talking, there's no like if a copywriter looked at it, they'll be like, this is awful. And I was like, but it's one of our best performing ads. That's weird. And then we'd have like at the lowest level, the worst performing ads, we'd look at it and be like, well, that's a really good script, actually. Like that just worked really badly. So we knew it had very little to do with the words you're actually saying at the time. We're like, okay, cool. That's not the deciding factor of what a good video is and a bad video.
Right.
But then we watched it and it was so clear. Like as soon as we saw it, we're like, oh my word, of course. So we started watching these videos, and when the videos are feeling like authentic and feeling like, as soon as you see it, if someone's got like a whiteboard behind them, instantly it's going to be a better ad. I just know it visually. It's
really,
as long as they're going to refer to that whiteboard and use it.
There's just a whiteboard back there, but I'm not talking about it because it just makes you think I'm smarter. Is that no? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of those ads had like good hooks. Even the bad videos had good hooks. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like the bad videos were terrible. We'd already created ads, and I'm saying this is terrible on like a scale of, if you're advertising, you kind of know what you're doing most of the time. It's not like this is like, okay, get out of bed and you've never done advertising before, or marketing. So these are like not bad videos, just they didn't perform as well as the good videos, you know? And so we understood like, okay, visuals are far more important than anything you can say. So if you get the visuals right, and normally in most of the kind of, with selling a lot of educational type content, if it's like there feels like something's on a whiteboard or something's on a flip chart or something that's going to be written down or something, it's more than just a talking head. Immediately, I just know the ad's going to perform better.
Really interesting. That's
for 2 reasons. One, it's more compelling, and it's more like you want to kind of potentially buy that, or at least take the next step and convert. But equally, it's like the bad traffic disappears. Because if I'm going to watch a video of you and you're going to talk about 3 minutes and you're talking on the board and it was like, here's how to attract A-star players, and you had like a 5-step system on the board or something and you're walking it through, I'm going to watch it all the way through. But also I'm like, if I'm not interested in that content, I've disappeared after 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But if I'm sticking around for the whole thing and then you just so happen to have like a nice continuation onto your offer, it's like, cool, you've only got good quality traffic. Like you've disqualified all the bad people by the nature of your content.
So just to make sure I'm clear on this, you may have less leads at the end of it, but the ones that you do have are going to be way higher, better quality because they've been through a conditioning process, or they've got to know you. If you talk about know, like, trust, transact, all that stuff, they've gone through a 3-minute ad of yours. They're going to have a higher level of trust. And therefore, I'm interested to go to the next step. It's like, okay, the sales cycle immediately becomes shorter. This is, I think, one of the things that people don't realize. If you invest in a video, it will significantly reduce the sales cycle in terms of speed. Speed to lead to conversion time goes massively down, doesn't it? Yeah. And I mean, I've got on calls with people who've watched YouTube videos of me, and I remember 2 years ago, this guy jumped on a call, wanted to come to one of our retreats. And I was like, right, well, why are you on the call? He goes, I want to come to a retreat. I said, okay, great. What do you want me to do? You want me to talk about how it would? Oh, no, I've watched the videos. Just tell me the price. Okay. I was like, okay. And I was like, you got any other questions? He's like, well, when is it?
This is a bit of a lead, right?
Good question. And do you think I'm a good fit? Tell me a bit about his business. I was like, yeah, perfect fit for it. It worked great. He said, great, I've been looking for a retreat. You're the only one that seems to have videos online about retreats. So I've done, send me a bill. And I was like, I came off the phone and it was about a 10-minute phone call.
Yeah.
And I was sort of quite shocked, actually, because I was like, that's probably the fastest and easiest sale for retreat I've ever made.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, okay. And I think for then, that was when the light bulb went on for me of like, oh, hang on a second. He was looking for something specific, found it on YouTube, watched some content we had about, retreats that we run. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Great. Okay, how do I get it? And I think that video just is a massive accelerator, isn't it? And if you're running an ad as well, it's just going to reduce the skill you need as a salesperson at the end of that is lower, isn't it? If they've watched the video.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're trying
trust already,
right? But if you're trying to scale a business, and one of the biggest challenges with scaling a business is finding really talented salespeople, right? Especially in a small to medium sized business, because most of the talented salespeople are being taken by corporates. Let's be honest, because they pay them a lot of money, and most small businesses can't afford really talented salespeople, so they get average salespeople. Nothing wrong with that. Not knocking it, but that's what you get. So you need really well qualified leads in order for them to be able to convert it. Because if they're not, if it's a hard sell, you don't have the skill level to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And this is demoralizing process.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. It's like, no salesperson wants to talk to unqualified leads all day ever.
Yeah, so like push it hard. Yeah, I think that the key thing about this as well is that, like, whilst you might think like I'm going to get less leads because I'm disqualifying them, remember, you're only training the algorithm.
Yeah.
So you're saying to the algorithm, like, okay, cool, those are not my people. I don't want those people. I want the really high quality people.
Got it.
So the algorithm's like, it's just purely trying to make the math work out. So it's like, or maths work
It's
out.
your friend.
Because yeah, exactly. It's like saying, what do you want again? You want more leads at this price? Cool, I'm going to try and do that as best as possible for you. If you don't care what sort of leads you get, it'll be like, oh, I can nail this for you. I'm going to get loads of them for you. And you're like, no. I don't want the low quality ones. I just want the good ones. And so it's not going to know like what a good lead is or a bad lead is. You can sometimes train it in ways where you might do surveys afterwards and then segment the audiences and feed that data back in. Still not foolproof because the algorithm just wants to like say, you want that, I'll get you loads of that.
Got it.
So you've got to like be the human behind it to say, I'm going to create an ad that only attracts the right people. Run that. It starts to be attractive to an audience that kind of get the right sort of people coming through in volume. So you can't say, oh, I just want to create a kind of ad for like attracting A-class players to a really specific business or something, and that's the only thing you like offer, because then all of a sudden it's like, well, the algorithm's going to fall down because it can't find those.
So you need a wide enough market for the algorithm to be able to find you things.
Yes.
So do you technical question, but is it a bit like Facebook ads where you have to upload a lookalike audience, or do you need to pull data from elsewhere to put into YouTube for lookalike audience stuff?
Good question. So you can build lookalikes in YouTube, or I say YouTube, like ads is kind of all under the Google ad platform.
Yes.
But yeah, you can upload your list, but there's two elements to that. So one element is like you can build a lookalike audience of that list, and in part B of the first part is that you can also add that as an exclusion. So you can say, if this is my list, this is the people I want more people like that, but not those people as well.
So so you don't end up showing your ads to existing customers if there's a different offer and stuff, right?
Totally.
Oh, cool. Exactly. Okay, I didn't know you could do that. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's not foolproof, but it's going to get
but
it's going to do a pretty good job of it.
So you were going to give me the things that are difference between the high performing ads and the low performing ads. So number one was the visuals.
Yes.
Okay. Number two.
Well, I think you said it across the whole like ad account, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the things I would say is uploading your list. If you've got a good quality list, some people don't do this. You've got to upload the list to the actual ad platform.
Okay.
For the reason we just mentioned of building lookalikes and adding exclusions, but equally when you upload your list to the ad account, it's like you're planting the seeds inside the ad account for it to always go back to say, it's these, it will influence every single campaign you've got.
Okay.
So you want to upload your list for the Google to be like, cool, I'm learning about your customers now.
Got it.
More of these people. So every time you do like a bidding strategy, which is again built by the algorithms, it'll be like, cool, we know we've got to try and get those customers you tell us about earlier. So that will really, really help.
Okay.
And then it's another key thing about this as well, with the kind of making sure that the ad account is in a good, healthy place, is to actually just keep it organized. Like, it sounds like really obvious, but like, so I look at some people's accounts, go have a look at it. I'm like, this is just a complete mess. It's like everything is, because then you can't start to understand like what's working, what's not working, because Google's very good at like, we are getting to the technicals now, but like, let's say for example, we're talking about acquisition, and we're looking at attribution as well. So it would be like, right, so they came in through this ad, then they had this messy middle bit, and they bought 2 weeks later from this other ad or something like that. Google's going to be like, cool, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share out that conversion amongst a couple of campaigns, because that's kind of what really happened. But it's like Google don't have all that data. They don't know it. So what they end up doing is saying, we're going to model it and predict that it was probably this campaign that did it.
Right.
And you're like, cool, I'm not smart enough to use that data to be like, well, if you had 100 leads and they all had different journeys, you're not going to be able to unpick every single one of them and then make like adjustments according to that. So you got to let the algorithm do its thing. But what you want to make sure that you do is like, you don't want to have like, here's all my stuff inside of one campaign with lots of different audiences, lots of different ads. It's kind of what Google want you to do. And I think we will get there in the future, but you still got to be able to be like, I need to pull this apart a little bit to say these audiences need to be put with these ads, and these audiences with these ads, and then run those and see if it performs. And then you've got choices. Whereas like, I think a lot of what we see is like a lot of meta advertising companies will say, oh, we can do YouTube. And then they bolt on YouTube as a service for their clients. And then we look at those ad accounts and it's like, this is run like a Meta campaign.
And they're different, obviously, and they don't like each other, do they? Meta and Google generally not play well together.
They don't. They're getting closer and closer all the time because I think they realize that's the way to do it as an advertising platform. I don't know they're best of friends, but like but us as advertisers, there are nuances between the difference between Meta and YouTube. So YouTube's still in that space where you still want to define your audience and say, here's the ads for that audience.
Okay.
Whereas Meta's a little bit more like, we're going to go broad here, and here's a bunch of ads. Please just find our audiences, which I think is a more attractive setup for lots of different businesses.
Yeah.
But YouTube's got it's got far more data, but I still feel it's like it needs to catch up with what Meta advertising does.
Okay.
But that's just the way we are.
So I've got a client, say, for example, in London, wanting to attract certain people. We can do sort of local niche marketing for people in London and around, sort of like inside certain postcodes. We can target affluent postcodes versus non-affluent postcodes.
Yeah.
We can really get as specific as all of that.
You can get specific, but I would say you've got to be careful about how specific you get. Let the algorithm kind of work it out for you at the end of the day. So it might be like when you first get started, if there's enough, like if you said, right, it's like, okay, so if you said, oh, there's like little pockets in London that I really want to target, I'll be like, I'd probably just go for the whole of London.
Go for the whole of London,
probably, depending on the service. But like, if you're like whole of the UK, but I just want to go for the affluent part, you might say, right, go for more of the southeast, like promotion there, just because generally speaking, that's a bit more of an affluent area.
And okay, let's get all that. So in the book, where do you take us in the book? Give us some of the highlights of what's in here. Because I mean, brilliant book, first of all. You were saying you'd had to rewrite it, 2 or 3 times, I think?
Wrote it 3 times before it got to public.
3 times.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I mean, you break this down brilliantly. You actually build like how to build funnel maps. And I mean, like, which is, I suppose, if you're going to run the ads, what's the important things to think about after the ad? Well, is it the funnel map? Is it the customer journey? That's
acquisition A,
right?
To understand your metrics and your numbers, right? So,
okay.
So let's say, for example,
CPA. So we're talking about CPA, right?
Yeah, cost per acquisition.
Yeah,
CPA,
great. Because CPA number gets banded around a lot in the internet marketing world, and I don't think everyone necessarily always understands what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So cost per acquisition. An acquisition could be kind of any milestone in the customer journey. It could be a lead.
Okay.
It could be someone showing up to a webinar. It could be someone booking a call with you.
Okay.
You decide what that acquisition step is.
Right.
But you might say, right, what's my cost per acquisition of that?
Got it.
Now, if it's cost per lead, some people say CPL for cost per lead.
Yeah.
So you can interchange with that, or cost per acquiring a customer, perhaps.
Yeah, cost per sale, perhaps.
Cost per sale, yeah, exactly. And in more in the e-com space, you'd say a CAC, a cost per acquiring a customer. And then they call it an NCAC, which is a cost of acquiring a new customer. There's like different, so yeah, it's lots of different ways of talking about it. But when I say CPA, I'm kind of thinking like a company should have like a North Star metric of saying, I want to achieve this goal, which is like, say, I want to get a cost per lead, let's say for less than £20,
right,
or whatever that number needs to be, and then you say, and how many I want.
Right.
Because then you can start modeling it out and say, like, what's the hypothesis of what I've got in my head? I'm like, okay, cool. If I run a webinar, I'm probably expecting 30-40% of those people to show up, potentially. And then of those 30-40% of people to show up, maybe 10% of them might buy. And they come to your retreat, for example. And then you kind of got predictions of what's going to happen along the business model.
Got it.
Right. And so then you can map it back and back. Does this on paper make sense? Because most people don't do that.
No,
most people are just like, cool, let's run it and see what happens. And I'm like, cool. The drum roll moment is not normally a good moment for them at the end of it, which is like,
financial modeling is a skill set that I think if you're not very good at it with the numbers, then you need to hire somebody who can do all that for you, right? And just spend the money, pay the money, get somebody to do the marketing model maths for you, who knows how to do that stuff for you. Because
I tend to take a quite a different approach. And I learned this from Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First.
Yeah, great book,
amazing book. And the idea, like very high level point of view, is to say, take 20% and that's your money, and then make the rest of the business work.
Correct.
I mean, I love that model.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. And now you know what you've left with to figure out how to make this business work.
Yep.
And
it forces you to be creative as an entrepreneur, because otherwise you'll just spend all the money you've got on another good idea, right? And entrepreneurs always have good ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not, but in their heads they are.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not short of ideas, just they assume they're all good, whereas 90% of them turn out not to be.
Yeah,
So you end up spending a lot of profit on stuff that you shouldn't spend any money on at all.
No, exactly. But then we have to have that mad side of us sometimes anyway, because we'd never start a business.
No, this is true. Yeah, if we were actually looking at the numbers and the data, and you analysed the chance of success of running a business and starting it and scaling it, you wouldn't start one.
No,
you'd look at the math and go, "This is a really bad investment decision." As an investment class, the odds of success are so narrow. 15, 20%, 25% of businesses that go up for sale ever sell, or 15% that go up for sale ever sell. And actually surviving 5 years is like I've got 20%.
Yeah.
Like you'd never do that, would you? Because you go, I'll just go to a casino, take the money, and put it on black because it's 50-50. So
it's a better business model.
I'm not sure. It's but we like to believe the optimism of it. Of course, it's going to be. I'm going to be the one that's going to make it work, right? And you can be if you understand things like acquiring customers at scale. Yes. Which when I talk about in the grown-up business model, we talk about you have to level up as a leader. So you've got to get clear on the vision. You have to get clear on the data. You have to get clear on the metrics you've got in your model. Then you have to bring the right team on. And some of the team can be outsourcing, like partnering with you to do ads, whatever. Because if you don't get those things right first and you just focus on scale, you end up having massive issues on the back end where it all kind of collapses in on itself because you got loads of customers, but you didn't build the team first. So now you're having to recruit in a hurry, and that's never a good idea. Yep. You don't attract A-grade players because your business looks like it's chaotic and a mess. Mm-hmm. And therefore you end up with customers. And the minute you get bad customer reviews, your ads are going to suffer and all the other things that go with it. So I think it's so important to do it in the right order and to be really clear on, right, what's the vision? How many customers do we want in the next 12 months? Then you can work out, okay, what's the marketing math to get us there? And then do we want that skill in-house, or do we actually don't want to learn how to do it, so want to partner with someone like you, bring someone in with the expertise to help us get there? Because actually that's a faster path to scale.
Yeah, precisely. And that's you've just mapped out the aims of the company, like to say, what do you actually need to achieve?
Yep.
And then your acquisition model is like saying, right, if you're going to run a webinar or you're going to run a live event or whatever you're going to do, it's like saying, let's map out the numbers just to kind of have a heartbeat to be like, are we close to that?
Yeah.
And where do we need to improve? Or because most people are like, it didn't work, let's throw all of the baby out with the bathwater. And just like, no, there was some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, but people go to that, don't they? Say, it didn't work. Whereas like, I was like, which bit didn't work? Because there were like, that's saying, the holiday didn't work. Well, no, okay, there were things in the holiday that were great. The travel wasn't great. The hotel transfer wasn't particularly good, but actually the hotel was great. The swimming pool was good. There were loads of stuff that is good, but I think with marketing, people go, YouTube didn't work, tried it, didn't we? I'm like, well, how many ads did you run? How many tests did you do? Well, we tried it for 3 months. It didn't work. Okay, well, like, if that's like being married for 3 months and going, this doesn't work, I'm trying someone else. It's like, hang on a second, you actually have to put in the hard yards, and you go, like, if this is the critical part of your business growth engine, and if you're not prepared to put the time and effort into acquire a customer, how are you ever going to build a scalable business?
No, precisely. And that for me is like aims and acquisition is like, choose the funnel, choose the thing you're going to focus on, and don't say, as you're quite rightly saying, like the first time you run it, it's not going to be the best it'll ever be. No, I mean, like,
first is the worst. That's what I say to clients. The first is the worst. The first webinar you ever do, it's going to suck. The first ads you run, going to be awful. The first social content you put on LinkedIn, you're going to look back 3 years from now and go, my God, that was embarrassing. The first is the worst. But the good news is the first is the worst.
Yeah.
Like that's the good news. So like the next one will be better because you'll learn from the first. And then 2 years from now, it'll be a heck of a lot better and you'll go, wow, I can't believe I put stuff out like that. The great news is that when you're putting the first content out, no one's watching anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like nobody's looking at your stuff, right? Like nobody's paying attention to you. So the fact that you happen to be terrible at it at the very beginning doesn't really matter so much, right?
Yeah. And the market decides, right, as well. Yeah. So, and then that's kind of like, I tend to look at that from a standpoint also, like you go out there with what you've got and you might think it's brilliant. You might be really happy with it, but the market gets to decide.
But that's humbling, right?
Yeah.
Any time I put something out that I think is a brilliant post, like on LinkedIn or something, I go, this is great. I've spent 3 hours writing it. I'm distilling down the wisdom of 20 years worth of coaching into 5, steps and I put it out on LinkedIn and it'll get like 300 people view it.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh. I thought that was great. And then I remember doing this recently. I was in a real rush on a Tuesday morning. I was heading to the station and I just literally grabbed something off my phone, stuck it on LinkedIn with like 2 lines of like, this is really important, whatever. And it was a previous graphic I'd had done 2 years by a graphic designer, and just like, I went back to my file and went, I'll stick that one up today. Like 2,000 views and 15 shares. And you're like, really? I put like no effort into that.
Yeah.
And okay, it's not my job to decide what's valuable. The market decides what's valuable, right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly why, because like we can run ads and like something like this, one ad kills it, one ad's terrible, and we don't know why. Like we couldn't have predicted why.
But that's the same with shorts, right? Like on our channel now, we'll take today's conversation and the software that we use will divide it up into 30 to 45 clips, and that will get shared on a separate channel, and then we'll look at the data after about a month, or and see which ones are doing great, and those ones will then get transferred across to the main channel. The other ones will just disappear into the ether down the road or whatever, and we'll leave them on there. But we're looking for the outliers. You're looking for the ones that work really, really well.
Yep.
And you don't always know why they do. They just happen to resonate, or the hook was particularly good, or just something about the visual that people just liked, or you happen to say something about CAC that everyone really got excited about. I don't know, right? Like, who knows? Yeah, but I think as a marketer, you have to let go of the ego, don't you? You just got to let go of the ego.
And definitely with that video advertising, I think you put yourself out there, and then you don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. But you do have themes of what works and what doesn't.
Is there a structure to an ad then that you teach people and take people through?
Yeah, so there's many structures, but like one of the ones we love doing is like what we call a pen and paper ad, and that's kind of like, right, imagine you and I sitting here now and be like, let me just diagram it out for you. So we've been talking about the 5 A's, but I might have a pad of paper here and talk about it,
right,
and discuss it, and then say, so that is it. That's the 5 things you need to learn to make yourself really like effective with advertising, and then you might say, and if you want to learn that in more detail, come and join us in the webinar. But you would almost like have a pen and paper videographer looking over,
sort of like being in a studio like this, maybe with a camera above a table or something like that.
Yeah, but I'd have a handheld camera.
Okay,
I'd want it to feel far more off the cuff, and that's, we're talking about engineering off the cuff earlier.
Yeah.
The very nature of your engineering doesn't make sense, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like saying
engineering spontaneity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you want to make it feel like, actually, hang on a second, let me just get this pen and paper. I'm going to draw it out for you, and it's a handheld camera. So you're like, it doesn't feel like someone saying, welcome to this presentation, I'm about to tell you about something that's amazing, then you can join our webinar.
Right. So it's literally like you're chatting to somebody on the other side of a camera.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you could, so you'll kind of like make it feel like the camera's the person you're consulting with.
Right.
So like, if I would almost like say, right, if we could even do it right now, you would hold your iPhone or something and say, look, let me walk you through exactly how this works. Draw it out for you. You look at it, you look at me, and that sort of thing. And that is the perfect video. Like, that's like there's a structure to how you communicate it.
Yeah.
But as a theme of that, like, you would want to kind of like, the easiest way is to say like, look, here's before and here's after, and the step in the middle is the unique mechanism. It's the thing that we're going to like the 5 A's, for example. And he said that's the thing that gets you there. And you would say, right, the reason why you're stuck over here is because of this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But if you use the 5 A's, you can get across that chasm. You can jump across that chasm, or you can build the bridge over it.
Yeah.
And now you're like where you actually want to be, and you show results and examples of people doing it. And so if you want to learn more about that, come on the webinar. I'll break it all down for you, and that would be like a really simple version of doing that. But we normally...
Well, if you're a product business, then, okay, great, get that. Yep. If you're a professional services coach, export authority figure, but maybe say I'm e-com or I've got product. How do I run an ad in that situation?
Yeah, so you're going to find your lead gen ads are very different to your e-com ads. Very different.
Okay.
So if you're selling, let's say, for example, we're selling some kind of green juices and supplements, and we also kind of... sell like skin products and that type of thing as well. When you do those, a lot of that is still taking similarity in like the messaging, but it's a lot more like you can use UGC, which does still feel a little bit of a spontaneity within it. But you're going to want to show like a lot more before and after if you can do.
Okay.
It's not always, you can't kind of like put massive claims in, but you can be careful with the communication, because if you put loads of big before and afters, it'll just get disapproved. It's like it's claiming something, and so Google and YouTube and Facebook don't like that. But you can at least say like, look, I've been using this product for a while now. Look at like my skin's feeling better. You can report on the kind of the findings of it as well, or you can talk about the ingredients that went into that product to make it so good. There's like, especially in the health market with some supplements and things, podcasts, like podcast recordings where you have like an absolute expert, and you kind of like get on the podcast and they kind of talk about not just the product, but they'll talk about why the product is needed, and you kind of talk about the story of the building of the product.
Got it.
Those types of things can work incredibly well as well.
Is there a length you're shooting for in the ads? Is there like, I mean, some ads I've seen have sort of been 7 or 10 minutes long, right? Or are you trying to go short? Have you tested the difference?
Yes, anything under 3 minutes, your CPMs or your cost per meal or your cost of advertising comes down a huge amount as soon as you go under 3 minutes. Because the way, and I'm talking specifically about YouTube advertising, because you just show in lots of different locations now. Whereas when you go longer, it can still work incredibly well, but it's not going to show you everywhere. If you're 3 minutes, you just fit inside a short. You can your ad can run in a short location. But yeah, like you're gonna, sometimes a longer ad just is needed, so you can go longer as well. So I don't have a real like firm rule, but if you're coming in at 4 minutes, I'll be like, let's edit it.
Trim it down to 3.
Yeah, to 3, just because you're going to get the benefit of that.
Okay.
If it's 10 minutes, I'll be like, cool, let's see if we can edit it down a little bit. But if it gets down to 7 minutes, I'm like, that might just be the perfect ad.
Okay. So let's just say someone's listening to this or they're watching this on YouTube. They've got a limited budget. What does a smart sort of 90-day YouTube or sort of ad strategy look like? They're thinking, it's 2025 or heading into 2025. I want to run some ads. I need to get some new customers, and like I want to grow my business this year.
Yep.
But I don't have tons of money, but I have some money, right? So what does a 90-day sort of smart YouTube strategy look like?
So when we talked about earlier, the $5 a day thing, you can do that regardless, but you're not going to be able to track your customer generation easily. Okay. So I'd say like it works really effectively, but it's not something we can say reliably, I'm spending that to get these customers. It's just more like it's like organic amplified, so to speak. The strategy where you're saying how much budget do we need over a 90-day period, that's a really difficult one for me to answer, other than you've got to get 5 conversions a day in your ad account. Okay,
so if we say $100 a day, that's probably going to be more than enough.
Yes, but if you then say, right, not over 90 days, that's going to be, $9,000 or something.
Yeah.
So you say, but you're going to be able to call it earlier.
Right.
So you can say after 5 days, if you spent 500 quid or something, you're going to be like, is it working or not? Okay. And you'll have that proof.
Yeah, fine.
So if it's not working, you can pause and reassess. If it is working, you can start to scale up, and you don't really care about your $9,000 anymore, because you're like, let's just go faster.
Yeah, because I'm making 2, 3, 4, 5 times on my money.
Yeah, exactly. So because we've always done things from a cost per acquisition or CPA mentality. So we're always like, right, what's the goal here? And if we're hitting that goal, can we scale? Yeah. They might need a bit of proof. They might say like, cool, I've got you loads of leads for your webinar. But then I'm like, cool, let me just make sure these leads close.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you say, cool, are they working out? And they're like, yeah, it's working perfect. Cool, let's go all in. Let's start ramping things up.
Okay.
So
does this book, does this book give people sort of everything they need to think about? I love the book's got, I don't know if you can probably see that, but it's got loads of great pictures of YouTube channels and clients you've worked with, and Jason Grace down there, who's been on this podcast, which has been brilliant, which is great. And you've got lots of how-to stuff in here specifically, which
step by step, which
is brilliant. So does this really become a sort of a book for people who want to do it themselves, essentially? Is that all want their in-house people to do it? Is that who this is aimed at? That's for entrepreneurs and business owners that and ad buyers across, and media buyers and creative experts who are kind of like on the coalface. They're kind of like, they're doing YouTube advertising. This is going to massively upgrade their game. Okay. Because there's been a playbook for a while. I wrote probably the first book on YouTube advertising quite a while back. Wrote it, and that was like, it's all outdated now. So this is the new. This is the most up to date there is, right?
Yeah, and YouTube will not be making a massive change. I mean, I can say that with a lot of confidence, but like, it's unlikely. They've just made a huge amount of changes, and they don't normally do that often.
Cool. Okay, great. So, but let's just say I'm the kind of entrepreneur for whom this book just becomes like, I'm never going to read it or finish it.
Yep.
And I want to work with an agency like yourself. Mm-hmm. what are the questions I should be asking an agency to assess if they're right to work with me?
Good question. Okay, cool. So you're going to want to make sure that the 5 A's we've talked about today.
Yep. Well, they can take that model and use it right, and say that's
and you can question people on that.
Great. Okay.
So you can say, cool. How do you structure your account? And what's the things you're going to be doing to the account? Ask a YouTube agency to do that first of all,
right?
And you say, cool, and then you can say, what sort of ads have you created in the past? Like, let's see some case studies of other ads. If it's all talking head animation style videos, it's just not going to work,
right?
Or if they look very, very Facebook focused,
right?
Probably not going to work that well on YouTube either. Not to say that YouTube and Facebook can't work on both platforms,
but they are different platforms, right? With different, and you have to view them as such. And
yes,
I think you should be looking for platform specific experts personally.
Yes,
like exactly. If I want to go play on Facebook, then absolutely, then I should go find somebody who's world class at that, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and to think it's like saying I'm world class at rugby, but then you're not going to be very good at playing football at the same time, right? Like you might be a great athlete, but that doesn't mean you're going to be. If you're world class at rugby, some of those skills transfer, but you're probably not going to be a brilliant hockey player.
Yes, exactly. I think if you've mastered YouTube advertising, I think you can play really effectively in Meta.
All right,
It's a simpler platform, and the creative lens itself. If you're doing lead gen, not so much e-commerce.
Got it.
It's a different game completely on e-commerce. But if you're doing lead gen for like your service-based business, you can. If you did master YouTube, you could apply it to Facebook very easily. Okay. It's not as easy going the other way around, just because you can get some really niche things that work on Facebook, but probably won't translate. But 9 times out of 10, what works on YouTube is likely to work on Facebook.
Got
it. So you're going to want to ask them to see creative that's worked specifically on YouTube.
Yep.
And ask them about like what types of audiences you'll go after as well. That's an important one, because Facebook is normally like, let's go broad and see what it brings in.
Right.
Whereas with YouTube, it's like, cool, you've got custom audiences and a bit more specific with that. And then understanding the acquisition model, like what works on Facebook and what works on YouTube does tend to differ a little bit. But you probably don't want to reinvent the wheel going from, like, if you've got Facebook dialed in and then going to YouTube, unless it's a funnel that just definitely won't work on YouTube. Yeah. Most do, but it's like challenges, for example, like have worked, I think, for some people on Meta or Facebook, and just probably wouldn't. I've never seen a challenge funnel work well on YouTube.
Right.
So I don't think that would be a good funnel, but like webinars, VSLs.
So it's useful to understand the funnel mechanism, and does the agency you're working with have experience of different funnels and what works and what doesn't? Because then they're thinking about the whole of the customer journey, not just the ads, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. And they need to be able to track that through as well. So you want to make sure, so obviously if you're running, because we talked about webinars a bit, if you're running a webinar, you want to know what your cost per lead is, what your cost per show is, what your cost per sale is, what you're like, and see what those metrics are. And then if, depending on how you run that webinar, you want to have like a lot of experience and data points, not just from one webinar, but multiple, and be able to compare them.
Got it.
So, and you hope for improvement all the time, like a lower cost per acquisition of acquiring a sale, but also a lead.
Yep.
And then higher show rates and higher engagement rates. That's what you want to see across the board. And so everything's always improving. But most agencies just don't even do that work.
Right.
And it's like, good agencies will be able to you'll be able to talk to them, and you just get that feeling very quickly. Like you're like, you seriously know what you're talking about. And if that's the case, then you're can feel a bit more comfortable about making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke at obviously Scale Up Summit, which we run once a year, sort of around back end of April, and you spoke 2 years ago, I should think. Might even be 2 years ago. I think coming up 2.5 years ago. And I'm guessing the world's very different now to when you spoke then, but I mean, you blew the room apart. I mean, everyone's brain was completely like, wow, okay, massive opportunity, this brilliant. Didn't have the book then, because I think it would have been really helpful for a lot of people to go away with the book, because I think it was that powerful. But I think I'm sitting here today talking to you, and my head's already kind of going, well, okay, I've got this client that I know would love to use this. I'm thinking of one in the health and wellness space that I think would do great with it. And I'm just going, wow, now I understand a bit more about the opportunity, which is, I think, was my goal with this conversation, was to get people to be aware of the opportunity, which I think is huge. And like you said, it's better than it's been for the last few years, right? And then it's just that, don't be afraid to get involved with it, right? Don't be afraid, because you can limit your downside. You don't have to come in with thousands of pounds to do this.
Precisely. I think a lot of people feel like they have to have you're saying, like, how much budget do we need to do?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have 500 quid. do it for 5 days and then press the pause button.
Yeah,
see what
great.
happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's
So get involved, right? Just get involved.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to completely break the bank, and if it does, you're probably taking a bit too much of a gamble anyway.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that kind of risk anyway, right? You shouldn't risk totally. Put it all on black. No, though we generally don't advise clients to do that, right? So test small, learn fast, then scale up, right? So test small, learn fast, refine, scale, right? That's the 4 steps that I always say to clients you should be applying.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there that can give you really good advice. Like we run workshops, we run trainings and stuff like that.
Great.
And it's like if people are like saying like, I just want to shorten that time journey, like I've been doing it for 10, 11 years or something, if not longer. And like there's so much I've learned in that time.
I bet.
And it's almost like, cool, like I can share the wisdom to shorten that down to like 3 months worth of like, you can get things figured out quite quickly.
Well, if you're happy to share the links to where people can find out some of that, I mean, obviously viewability.co.uk would be one. Yep. If you got specific ones about workshops, then make sure the team has them here and we'll drop them in the show notes for you, for people to be able to find that. And obviously they can follow you on LinkedIn because you're fairly prominent on LinkedIn a lot.
I do a bit of LinkedIn.
Yeah, do a little bit of LinkedIn. So, just to wrap up then for me, best place for people to get the book, is it out yet?
So it's on Amazon.
Great, it's out now.
Get your physical copy or there's a Kindle version as well. You can go and get it as well.
Okay. Yeah. Probably doesn't lead itself to an audiobook, really. Let's be honest. Does it?
It's got an AI companion coming with it.
Has it?
So you can. We realise that no one's probably want to read any longer in this AI age. So we've been working hard on building like an AI companion. So it means that you can just. It's like me and Perry in the book. So you can ask it questions and it'll kind of give you answers.
Interesting. Is that code you've had written custom for you? Yeah,
there's a member of the team that's kind of like been brought in to build that out. They've done it for several other books as well. So a lot of testing that goes on with it. But like so it's pretty robust now. So you can get some really good answers from it. Yeah. So
it's like having you in your pocket.
I'd like to think so, but you still got to pay me, hopefully, some way, shape or form.
There still needs to be a commercial transaction in there somewhere, right? I guess you've still got to feed your children, right?
Yeah.
And apparently you make them amazing breakfast, so we can't not have that happen.
Yeah, that's
right?
very true.
So listen, I'd like to wrap up. Firstly, brilliant conversation. I think it's, I mean, you're opening my eyes to the opportunity, and hopefully everyone listening or watching is sitting there thinking, I really do need to pay attention to this. And I think the quality of the leads that you get off that platform, off YouTube, is just so much better, isn't it, really?
That's why I think it's like at volume, like, so if you want volume and quality, YouTube's the platform.
Great, love that. So your definition there, you've run different businesses. What's your definition of a grown-up business, just out of interest?
Grown-up business is where I feel like there's 4 elements of the business sorted. That would be like sales and marketing, operations, finance, but then there's a really clear vision for the company as well.
Nice.
They've got their values down as well. I feel like when those elements are all for one company, so it means that not just the owner knows what they're doing, but any employee knows how to make decisions based on the values of the company. That's where I feel like it's grown up.
Got it. Love that. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it does all flow down from the clarity of the vision, right? Well, certainly you've helped me to have a lot more clarity about the opportunity on YouTube, and I'm excited to try it certainly as we head into the new year. So hopefully we've encouraged lots of other people listening to do this. So make sure you follow, subscribe for more amazing interviews and conversations like this. But for now, thank you so much, Tom Breeze, for being on the Grown Up Business Podcast today.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Take care. That concludes this episode of the Grown Up Business Podcast. I hope that got you fired up and ready to grow. The key thing, though, is to remember you get paid on what you get done. So write down the top 3 actions from the show and make sure that you implement those in the next 72 hours. Hey, and while you're at it, make sure you click the links and the resources below this episode to claim free growth resources to help you build the business you desire and deserve. I'll see you on the next episode.